Hello everybody, this is the Last Raider. We are back with another video. And if you see this horrible looking witch on the screen, you should know where we're going. Yes, it is another Anita Sarkeesian video. And then, yes, again, this is probably the second Anita Sarkeesian video I've done pertaining to The Mandalorian. But before we get started, I feel the need to play this at the beginning of my video when dealing with Anita Sarkeesian so that anyone watching this will know exactly what you're dealing with. It's 44 seconds, but it's a high enlightenment into a woman who claims to be a fan of video games and has always been a fan of video games since childbirth. Watch and learn, folks. This is why you don't put stupid crap on the internet.
I'm going to show you a remix that I just finished this weekend and no one else has seen. One person has seen it. It's a soundtrack of one song, except I'm doing video games. So it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
There's too many dicks on the dance floor.
Too many dicks on the dance floor. Too many dicks on the dance floor.
Too many dicks.
To me, the song is positive just because I've only contextualized it in a way to critique male domination in our media. And also video games. Like, I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads, and it's just gross. So, hence, this is my response to that.
Okay, so Anita's own words. Anita's own words. I'm not a fan of video games. Yet this woman has an entire library of videos from what she calls Feminist Frequency, which was basically just a grift for money, pretty much. Where she has claimed to have been a girl gamer for years. But in this video here, this is the first one. This is the first time ever she has mentioned anything about video games. She claims she is not a gamer. Okay? She is not a fan of video games. She doesn't like the concept of shooting people in a video game. In other words, she doesn't play them. But, oh, she's an expert on sexualizing women in video games, even though she doesn't play them properly. And there are plenty of videos proving that she hasn't. I've said this before. There's a video where she's playing Hitman, and she is killing every single stripper in a nightclub, thinking that this, and claiming the entire time that, oh, you know, players are invited to assault these women and objectify them and abuse them as objects, not recognizing that the entire time, every time she kills someone, she is decreasing the amount of money she gets because the game penalizes you for killing innocent people. And the prostitutes are considered innocent people. This is how dumb this woman is. She's absolutely retarded and stupid. So, to make this even better, let's head on over to frickin' Twitter. Get all the other crap off there for a minute. And we have Anita Sarkeesian bitching about a lot of blacksmiths in her mentions today. Let's explain where this went. Okay? Because we have this one here from a couple months back, where Anita Sarkeesian got mad and said, I am extremely tired. Am I extremely tired? Or is there not a single female speaking character in the first episode of The Mandalorian? I've got to have missed something, right? Yeah, she did. She missed the blacksmith Mandalorian. The woman who forges Mando's armor through the entire first season. Like his pauldrons, his chest piece, his thigh guards, everything. She even gives him his missile launcher that's on the side of his arm that takes people out. Like, if he's surrounded, he just pops that sucker off, wipes a whole room of people out in a matter of seconds. Puts the odds more in Mando's favor. Woman builds all that stuff, even gifts him a jetpack in the first season. She's in the very first episode. But Anita Sarkeesian probably missed that because, and let me explain something. Anita, this is probably your fault that you're now bitching about this other problem right now. Alright, that came up, that you apparently cherry-picked out of this next episode, because once again, you failed to recognize, because You failed to recognize that this was a woman, probably because she wasn't, dressed to look like a woman, wasn't armored to look like a woman. So you probably missed that she was a woman somewhere. And so they decided, maybe we've got to give more subtle hints who the female Mandalorians are so that Anita Sarkeesian will just shut the fuck up. While all the meanwhile, they're still maintaining. So let me explain to you the episode that Anita is pissing and moaning about. I believe it is the third or fourth episode in the second season. Mando meets a bunch of Mandalorians from the Clone Wars, pretty much. Bo-Katan and a couple other Mandos. And in this episode, let me explain what all we have going for us in this episode. All right? We have a Mandalorian female of color. She's either Arabian or black. One of the two. I am pushing for black. She has a Meghan Markle kind of look to her. I'm pushing she's probably black or something, okay? Puerto Rican at the very least. We also she doesn't play damsel in distress. She jumps in there and starts kicking ass the entire time. The other Mandalorian is Bo-Katan, who's in the middle here, who goes in there and she kicks ass through the entire episode. There's not one point where Mando has to go in there, or our Mandalorian in brown armor. There's not one point where he has to save either of these two women. In fact, they have to cover his ass, and the only reason Mando jumps into... There's one scene, spoiler alert, where they're pinned down and Mandalorian goes in there and faces off a heavy blaster just because he's in full Beskar armor, mind you, and they have to provide him fire support as he pushes forward so he can chuck two thermal detonators and take the stormtroopers out. Not only is Bo-Katan a strong woman, not only does she have a strong female of color in her three-man Mandalorian unit, but Bo-Katan is the leader of the three-man Mandalorian unit. She has a man who is subject to her. She is superior to him. She's his superior. He is her subordinate. Okay? None of the women are in bikinis. We don't see a half-nude area in the entire deal. But what happens? What does Anita Sarkeesian home in on? Not only do these women have speaking parts. Oh, by the way, Bo-Katan is on a revenge mission to go find the guy Moff Gideon, who originally we thought Bo-Katan had been killed by Moff Gideon. Turns out Moff Gideon apparently just took her Darksaber, and now Bo-Katan is on a warpath through the galaxy trying to find Moff Gideon. And honestly, I'm afraid for Moff Gideon right now. First, I hated the dude. I feel sorry for him because I really think Bo-Katan is going to fuck him up the ass with that Darksaber when she gets done. She is that. I mean, in the show, you are convinced there is nothing that will stop Bo-Katan from getting that Darksaber and molesting Moff Gideon. All right? But what is Anita Sarkeesian home in on? Boob plate. The fact that we have females and you can see the very vague outline of a breast on the armor. That's not even nippled. It's not even highly prominent or over-exaggerated. It's just a curve that the male armor doesn't have. And there's a lot of reasons for this. One, you make armor like this for a woman because, one, she has assets up there, but two, unless you want to be the chick running around with a mammogram going on the whole time, you probably want some armor that's comfortable. And almost all armor, that is one of the key factors of armament. If armor is not comfortable, then the soldier's not going to move as freely in it. Thus, they are hampered by the armor more than it has to be. For most of the people, when they think about armor, they think of heavy armored knights. And what normally you would think of, is like jousting. Okay? Jousting armor is heavy as frick. It's usually the only surviving piece of armor a lot of times that we got, or the most examples of surviving armor pieces. Jousting armor is really thick. It's really hard to move in. It has to be thick because two dudes are charging at each other. You probably got an excess of close to 1,000 pounds of weight flying at each other, probably about 20, 25, 35 miles per hour. And they're concentrating all that onto a small pole. The possibility of impaling the other guy is very, very high. So the armor used by jousters was very, very thick. Very, very cumbersome, very, very hard to move, and they had to be helped onto their horses. Traditional armor was very light. It was evenly displaced. It was only curved when it had to be, similar to this armament. And there are examples of historically made armor based on historical pieces that have survived, combat armor, in which guys are running through in full plate mail doing cartwheels, just hitting the floor and rolling. It's very possible to do this in heavy armor. A lot of people have this, well, no, armor is just clunky and everything else. No, they stopped using armor because it was hard to train someone to use it. You had to have some physical capability to lift armor and wear it. You also had to know the limitations to be, and after you knew those limitations, you could use them more effectively in combat. But Anita picks a fight with the entire Star Wars universe again, not remembering, because remember over here, she didn't even recognize there was a female in the first episode. And I can see Dave Filoni sitting up there going, okay. Anita Sarkeesian didn't recognize there was a woman. Make them look a little feminine so that Anita will know there are women. Big mistake, man. Like I said, we are checking so many boxes right now. I wouldn't even be surprised if the strong female Mandalorian of color, might also be a lesbian. Because here's the thing, I said this in my last Mandalorian video. Homosexual relationships were not a big deal with Mandalorians. They didn't care. Honestly, I believe there was an extended story in which a Jedi actually mentions two male Mandalorians in a relationship who are in a loving relationship, homosexual, gay as fuck, and the response from the other Mandalorians are, and your point? Like, it's normal. We don't care. This is an average, everyday thing, and that was back in the 80s. But to get even funnier on this, Anita Sarkeesian, the chick who pretty much just lies about everything, not really a fan of any of this stuff. She just starts crap so she can make money off of it. This is her response. Sure are a lot of blacksmiths in my mentions today. Well, yeah, there are, because let me explain why. If you ever look at the Mandalorian Mercs, who are one of the premier Mandalorian cosplay groups in the world, those guys literally forge their own armor. There's one dude who does the old Super Crusaders, and he does an older fashioned version of the Super Crusader armor. He actually hand forges it, dishes and rolls and domes his own armor out of plates of aluminum, which is not easy, mind you. I've created Palderon. I've made a Palderon once doing some metallurgy. It is not an easy process. When you do it right, it works beautifully. When you do it wrong, oh my God, it just doesn't work very well at all. It requires all kinds of tweaks and everything to make it work properly. Anita's here, it's like, but for real, we already did this. Yeah, you already made one whopping mistake once before, Anita, and you've made another whopping mistake, and yet only an SJW would come along here and act like a loss is a win. It's kind of, what is that movie? Kung Pao Enter the Fist, where he's starting to fight the one dude and the master comes out and goes, no, don't fight Wei Feng. We taught him how to do Kung Fu wrong. He thinks losing is winning. That's about how these people are. That's about how Anita is. She thinks losing is winning in this particular instance. But let's see what more she has to say. These grown-ass children get so emotional and throw these embarrassing temper tantrums when a woman has even the slightest critique on the mainstream corporate media they feel ownership over. They keep trying to gatekeep the most popular franchise in the world. No, it's not gatekeeping. You see, you're doing the same shit that started Gamergate. Or actually, no. What galvanized Gamergate, which was gamers you come out there and said, oh, games don't like women. Games objectify them. Games do this. Watch me as I kill these prostitutes, but don't look at the money being reduced. Don't look at my reward. Don't look at me being penalized by the game. Just look at me dragging this chick around and everything. And everyone got sick and tired of it. Here's something I'll tell SJWs from a Southern boy, okay? When people spend most of their lives not being sexist, not being racist, not being homophobic, just generally being a good person and being acceptable, and you walk up to them and you call them a Nazi, do not be surprised if they reach across there, grab you by the throat, and break your nose. Because you are accusing them of being something without any proof. And Anita has come in here and accused Star Wars fans of being sexist when they're not. The only example that even comes close, actually, there's only 3 real examples of Star Wars even being remotely sexist. Those examples are Princess Leia in the gold bikini, Aayla Secura, and Darth Talon. And they're about the only 3 examples they've really got in the entirety of the Star Wars universe. Mind you, the most powerful being in the Star Wars universe is a woman. She is so powerful that even Luke Skywalker looks at her and says, yeah, I don't know if we can kill this or not. Okay? He's not even sure he can kill her off. He's not even sure that she can be defeated. You've got Bo-Katan. You've got so many characters that are women, that are capable. They're not sex objects. Despite the fact that I'm pretty sure that Anita Sarkeesian is gay and she's running around more fan art, more probably Rule 34 fan art of Star Wars. It's not entirely a male-dominated sphere. In fact, the only reason that we have Rey Skywalker is because Rey Skywalker is a character that was not invented by George Lucas or any of the Star Wars fandom. She was probably a character invented simply by Kathleen Kennedy, just so she could say, oh, look, we have a created female character now. By the way, you put Mary Sue up against Mara Jade. Mara Jade's going to beat Mary Sue's ass 3 ways to Sunday every damn day of the week. So long as Mary Sue's plot armor doesn't engage. That's about how stupid this is. You walked into another franchise stupidly, not knowing what you were doing the first time. Didn't learn any lessons the first time, obviously, because you ended up getting so much hate from the video game community that you went to the frickin' United Nations and begged them for Nazi-level censorship. Because you were getting mean tweets online, being told how sorry you were for accusing an entire fandom of heinous crimes you couldn't even properly prove. You had no receipts of it whatsoever. It was fictitious nonsense that you barely could even make an argument about, and any proof that you brought up was entirely annihilated by a physicist over in England. How are you this dumb? But she continues to go on. Sorry to burst your bubble, but the jig is up, y'all. Star Wars isn't some niche exclusive tree club where you hang up a no girls allowed sign and dictate the terms of discourse. It never was, and that is not changing anytime soon. No, it was never that. Do you know how many guys flipped out? It's the same thing with gaming, okay? 90% of interactions between girls and guys on gaming is a dude going, you're a girl that plays games? Holy shit, that's awesome. Are you any good? And she's like, I think I'm good. She proves she's as good as the guys on there. And it's like, damn, we got a chick that can carry her weight. I mean, 90% of the time, there's actually, There's actually a video from Viva La Dirt League where they show a female gamer and she basically goes, I'm just a girl out here. Every single dude comes out there and basically simps for her. That's the largest reaction you will ever see. That reaction, the thing of, oh, you're just a dumb girl and everything else, that's just a dumb, immature child. It's never the dudes on the unit. It's never the guys in the entire fandom that's doing it. you usually have some dumb, immature kid. And usually, if you have a dumb, immature kid that's acting like that, they get slapped down pretty damn quick by the men of the group. But Anita is a man-hating feminist. What do you expect? Yet again, Anita walks in there and starts crap in a fandom that she honestly knows nothing about. I promise you, this woman doesn't know who Darth Talon is without a Wikipedia search. And if she did, dude, she'd really have something to actually bitch about for once. But at the same time, you know, Darth Talon's a badass with a blade lightsaber. I mean, frick. Darth Talon was actually one of my favorite Siths, honestly. It's like, yeah, if I was a Sith, I'd want an apprentice like Darth Talon, you know. If I'm gonna have an apprentice, I at least want something I can look at. Looks good out there kicking butt. If this is gonna be my hand, she might as well look amazing. Alright? But Anita Sarkeesian, like I said, she goes out there, she says, oh, it's a no girls allowed. Where has that been said about Star Wars? Ever? Is it the millions of women that have cosplayed? Is it all the chicks that have gone in there and you know, dressed up as Princess Leia, dressed up as Mara Jade, dressed up as Aayla Secura, dressed up as Ahsoka Tano? I mean, there's so many chicks in Star Wars that are any girl can go out there and cosplay, and it would be, you know, they're decent characters. Princess Leia kicks ass. Padme Amidala kicks ass. I mean, now I dare Anita to find one single female character in Star Wars that is mainstream, that is liked, that is popular, and explain to me how she doesn't kick ass. But this is what I will tell everyone, though. This is what I'm going to tell everyone who's making a fandom and making anything. Let me tell you what you should do here. Okay? How you should do this. If you are going to do something like this, just make your characters look like Jessica Najiri. Okay? Because Anita's going to bitch no matter what. By the way, thank you, Bubba Geek Hero, for this picture. Because if you're gonna do a character, and I'm telling you, women like Anita, bitches like Anita, and male feminists like her, they're gonna bitch no matter what. You might as well just go full tits and ass and give her something really to bitch about. Anyway, folks, I am the Last Raider. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as always, stay safe, stay frosty. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye now.